a number of attempts have been made by the government of Jonglei State and the traditional leaders, especially the chiefs of Duke and Tweeches counties, attempts to resolve the conflict, which started in October 2023 between a few individual fishmongers from all community of Duke and a Yual community of Tweeches counties. And these attempts have not been very much successful, but they have, to a certain extent, played their role. They saved lives. They, at some point, stopped, conflicts from continuing. They have, at some point, initiated some kind of a dialogue, which, for some reason, did not sustain and did not hold. And because it did not hold, it has escalated as we speak. It has escalated to the extent that it has allegedly involved other communities of Adiok, Abeg, and Kongor, plus other communities in Tweeches, and traders from Ayod, from Bor counties, and other communities within Jonglei and outside Jonglei State, and other nationalities as well. Because the area that this conflict is happening is along the swamp, which is a fishing area for many communities and many people, for this growing fishing industry in Jonglei State. So it has affected people beyond Jonglei State. And because of this, many lives have also been, claimed. Reportedly, about 200 lives have been lost since 2023. And for us as civil society, it is a painful history to be telling. It is a story that was told in 2024 when similar attempts were initiated by the previous governor. And still we are talking about the same thing now, with the loss of lives, with the loss of properties, with disruption of businesses. And so those attempts that the government had and the traditional leaders had, attempted to resolve this conflict were very good and positive ones. But we feel as the civil society, and particularly the Jonglei Civil Society Network, we feel that we need to have a different approach to resolve this conflict. And this approach, there is an approach that we are proposing to the government of Jonglei State to look into it closely and make a final decision on it. And this approach is a two-phased approach, an approach that on one hand will deploy sufficient security forces at the border area between the two counties of Duke and Tweeches. It can, for example, be Biotagany area, which previously security forces were also deployed there. So this is one thing, one area, and other areas as deemed fit by the government that need security to be deployed there. So this is one thing that needs to happen immediately. And concurrently, dialogue need to also be initiated, a dialogue that ought to be mediated by a mediation committee, which will be formed, or which ought to be formed by the government of Jonglei State. And so these two need to go hand in hand and move together so that the first one will stop, which is deployment of forces, will stop active conflict and will create an environment for dialogue. And the second one will now be the dialogue, which will be mediated or facilitated by a mediation team, to put the parties to the conflict together and discuss, in an environment that is good for dialogue. So this is the approach we are proposing to the government with the objective of ending the ongoing violence, saving lives, and creating sustainable and peaceful coexistence between the sisterly communities of Duke and Tweeches counties, plus other neighbors of Jonglei and of these particular counties as well. Now, as this two-phase approach is ongoing, we are also proposing here, we have a glimpse of how a mediation team should look like. This is an information that is intended to help the government. So we are suggesting that a mediation team should be composed of this particular group of people. It first of all should be shared by the Deputy Governor of Jonglei State, His Excellency Wilson Awol, to be the chair, and also to be deputized by the Minister of Peace Building, Honorable Alier Panchol, and members such as the Paramount Chief and Deputy Paramount Chief of Duke and Twichis counties should also be members of this particular mediation committee. And lastly, the faith-based groups who should also be very important and key members of this particular mediation committee. And this faith-based group should be drawn from faith-based organizations. Different faith-based organizations can include even, groups from ACS, from Seventh-day Adventists, from, Muslims, and all of those. So this is the suggestions that we have, and we have this in our heart very closely, and hope that a breakthrough is made with regard to resolving this particular conflict that has disrupted businesses, that have claimed many lives of South Sudanese, including women and children also, who have been in this particular area. It has a huge potential of engulfing the whole Jonglei State if it is not settled now, not tomorrow. So this potential, we have to mitigate it. We have to look at it and ensure that it does not come to pass. Thank you very much.